Hey everybody, we're back again for another video. Say hi to Liliana, Alex, and me. So we had a conversation offline that I felt like needed to come online. And it's because we're nearing the end of the year. This video is going to show up at the end of the year. There's some stuff going on in our community that's making, I think, everyone feel a little questioning of like, how do we prepare for like the worst? Yeah. So in the last 72 hours, for example, I've had 3 different interactions with colleagues where there's been a crisis. Maybe it's they're going through a divorce. Maybe it's something's going on with their kids, or it's a mental health crisis, a physical crisis, or it's just medical stuff, their own stuff, like being diagnosed with a significant medical condition, having depression, going through something. So without disclosing those 3 particular people's events, this really showed up for me. And I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this. Yeah. So formally, it might be like contingency plans. How do we prepare for the worst? Because there is something in our community where we have like this mental block where we don't want to think about worst case scenario.
Correct.
Or someone dies, or we're forced into retirement before we're ready. So yes, I want to talk about this. So in both your experiences, let's just start naming what are some of the things people might have to think about for a contingency plan. Contingency plan meaning I need to have a plan B if something goes awry. I can't handle being a therapist right now. It's not ethical for me to continue when I'm in this headspace. My family comes first. All sorts of valid reasons why we need a contingency plan. So what are we thinking about?
I'll jump in because this has been one of the biggest things that I always, you guys have heard consistently of we're first human and then we're professional.
I quote you all the time.
And so I'll be the first, and I have no problem sharing this. In 2016, I went through a personal breakup, termination of a relationship where it was starting to bleed into profession. And I decided I need to take care of myself. I come first. And, you know, as therapists, we think that we have this archetype that we have to fulfill of we're strong, we can do this, I can push through it. And in our reality, that's in our professional role. But as humans, we have to be vulnerable and allow the process of grief, the process of sadness, of the process of emoting to come through. And as therapists, as professionals, social workers, whatever you identify as, really have to honor that. And when family crises come up, when personal challenges come up, I think the word that comes to play is grace. Give yourself the grace to take a time out, disconnect to reconnect, and give yourself, I call it my soul tribe, give yourself permission to emote with your soul tribe, whether it's your family, whether it's with yourself, individuals that you trust within your faith community, to be able to bounce back. Because ultimately, this is what we want to teach our clients is when you are going through a struggle, have grace with yourself, practice self-care, but we need to model it. And so when I took a step back and let people know I'm going through some personal issues that I want to deal with, obviously I didn't disclose what, people actually respected that. And they're like, okay, I totally get that. And
that's
so
without having to overshare.
Not without overshare. The other piece that does come up is when my dog died. My dog died, and I'm getting charged. It's like when he died, I needed to take some time off because he was a therapeutic dog for me. And so for when he died, I needed to take some time off to process that as well. And so honoring those roller coasters and challenges that life presents itself is only going to enrich us as professionals as we tend to others.
Right. Otherwise, we're hypocrites. Right? We're like, hey, give yourself all this space and self-care. And then we're like, oh, we're just going to plow through everything that's wrong. So thank you for sharing that. Liliana, what are your thoughts?
I always humanize myself. And I do that by, and I will also discuss, like, so I have, my kids now are older, but I remember when I was doing therapy, I will share with my clients, I have a kid who has asthma. So if they call me, I have to run. And I never knew when that was going to happen. So I tend to humanize as much as I could in order for my clients to know what was happening and why I had to pivot. But saying that, since COVID, like how many family members we have lost, how we have to be there as therapists. We feel that we have to be there. And part of the conversation that we were having is it starts in school when we have the idea, or we give the idea that you have to be available 24/7. School insurances, Medicaid, like name it, right? So everyone is telling you have to be there 24/7. And the reality is that we don't have the capacity as humans to do so.
Correct.
Right.
So how we're gonna So how we're gonna humanize ourselves, how we're gonna humanize our clients, how we're gonna model to our clients, and how we're gonna model to each other.
Correct.
Right. So part of the contingency plan is not. I was gonna say a bad word. Things will happen.
So you did.
I'm thinking you knew. Shit will happen. So when it does, it's okay to cancel everything. It's okay to take care of you, and that may look like going for a walk, taking a nap. Whatever it is, you don't have to spend money to take care of you, but you do need to take care of you in order for you to be available to others.
Yes. And I think both of what you both shared really echoes. There's this fear in the community of like, I'm letting my clients down, I'm failing them if I take this time off. When in the end, it's really about like, what are they going to benefit from if you're not here? If you're like dissociated, you're checked out, you're thinking about your family or whatever's going on at home, you're not actually serving them the best that you want to. So not only is it modeling, I think there's a reality check here, which is like, you can't do it all. Something's going to give. When these 3 professionals came to me this week in their own experiences, I shared I've been in burnout 1.5 times is how I call it now. Because that second time was in the pandemic. And I was like, oh, here I am again. And I pivoted away from some of the mental health work, became a financial therapist, got pregnant, all these things happened. And so I think part of this conversation is reflecting that the clients, if they don't understand that we're human first, that's their stuff.
Correct.
It's not our job to convince them that we are worthwhile to take a break if we have a heart attack or are going through a divorce or our kids are struggling. And so that's coming up. The financial therapist in me is also saying contingency plan is having some money set aside. We all work so hard for our money. What would it be like to say, I have a paid time off account, which most small business owners are like, what the heck are you talking about? Magical. Magical. Like if you need to take a day off, it's not I'm taking a day off feeling that guilt and not making income. It's I'm taking a day off, have permission, and I'm tapping into that PTO account if I need to.
Correct.
So if you all have questions about that, come talk to me, because this is life-changing for small business owners, therapists, people who are like, oh, I can't take a vacation because then I have no paycheck. Yes, you can.
Yes.
So maybe that is part of this equation for a contingency plan, is having some money set aside for emergencies or time off or self-care, whatever label you need to have on it, so that you can actually do this, follow through. What are your thoughts?
I agree 100%. And not to throw in the commercial, it's not your chicken. You guys, I cannot reiterate the chicken check-in. When you feel charged, when you feel dysregulated, when you feel not present, disconnect, connect with your colleagues, do check-ins. This is our check-in to be able to say like, hey, this is what's coming up with me physically, emotionally, relationally, mentally, and spiritually, and do it with your loved ones, and be, again, graceful with yourself and say, this is what I need right now, and this is what I'm going to do, and be okay with not being okay. Be okay with not being okay.
Right. For any of you type A folks, you're my people, also know that this is just the start of a conversation. I did reach out to one of our colleagues who really, this is their wheelhouse. They're going to have some trainings on not just the professional wills. Hi, Kathy, I'm talking about you, Kathy Wilson. But I did confirm with her that she does have training materials coming out for contingency plans. What does it look like to have a colleague who can make the calls if you're incapacitated? What does it look like to take time off and not know when you're coming back if there's something significant going on? What does it look like to have an interim supervisor come in? If you're a business owner, a group practice, and you're like, I need someone to just take on responsibilities right now, temporarily. So that is all coming. We don't have to have all the answers right now.
Correct.
But this is the end of the year. So we want you talking about this for 2023, because if this has happened in 72 hours, that 3 amazing colleagues are telling me this is what's going on, I want us to feel prepared. It kind of freaked me out. That's why we're talking about it. It's like, whew, message received.
Yes.
Final thoughts for our viewers.
I was gonna say shit happens.
Yes. And we want to feel as equipped as we can, not going into an anxiety place where it's like, let's think of all the worst things, but like, let's be prepared.
And if you do, I'm an expert on that.
You'll have a list for them.
I have a list.
Yes.
So yes, hopefully this just starts the conversation. Look for Kathy Wilson's materials. I will make sure that I'm updating this video when I hear when the trainings are happening. But in the meantime, I hope this just helps you feel seen with permission to take time off, to take care of yourself, your family, whatever's going on in your world, and that you are, in fact, as Alex says, human first.
Yes.
So stay tuned for other videos. We'll see you later.